retired. You were looking for that next generation to step up.
Now, it's also the first year at Wimbledon where there will be no line judges in its 148-year history, with electronic line calling being introduced. Players and umpires have already got used to the new setup, as it has been at other tournaments for a while. But on the green grass at Wimbledon, where advertising logos are muted and the players are dressed in white, the emptier courts may feel that it is more noticeable. Well, let's speak to Pauline Ayer, who was a line judge for 15 years at Wimbledon, and she joins us live on BBC News. So why would you say this is a mistake by the organisers?
I think it'll just take a lot of the joy out of the game. I don't think it will improve standards, because actually, from what I've seen of tennis around the world now, they've been using electronic line calling. It seems to be that there are still just as many arguments with players. I think what matters in sport is humanity and human beings, and dealing with adversity is part of the game. Whether that's your serve isn't working, or your opponent is hitting you off the court, or there's a problem with a pigeon flying over, or a line call that you don't like. All of those things are what creates the best people at the top, and that's why those people win. I think it'll change the atmosphere. I remember, just listening to Tim there, I remember being on court with Tim playing and the crowd going crazy and it being so loud and so exciting. I couldn't even hear my own call in my own head, and shouting as loudly as you could and trying to be heard over that. We were part of the atmosphere, and I think it's also desperately sad for those 300 line judges who've lost their work.
Indeed, and line judges have been part of some very famous moments at Wimbledon, whether it's being hit by a ball or being knocked over by players as well. You talk about some of the memories you shared there, but it's important to say that technology is becoming part of all our lives and all our jobs. And a lot of people might end up losing their jobs because of incoming technology.
Absolutely, and one of my other jobs is that I'm a voiceover, and I do commercials, and I used to work on BBC Television. In fact, you didn't know that, as a continuity announcer, and AI can do those jobs, but it's not quite the same, is it, as having somebody sitting in your living room with you saying in half an hour on BBC One this programme, but first a nice cup of tea. It's not the same. It's not as good. And I was listening earlier on to BBC Radio and hearing stories about solicitors who are losing their work, and really highly skilled people. And I thought the idea of AI was that we were all supposed to have more leisure time. But if we can't earn money to enjoy our leisure time, then I'm not sure that the rise of tech just on its own is necessarily a good thing. Well, not in every case, anyway.
What one thing would you say to the organisers to change their minds?
Oh gosh, that's a lovely question. Please, please bring back line judges. I think we were as much a part of Wimbledon as the beautiful flowers and the strawberries and cream and the royal box and all of the other traditions, all those things that make Wimbledon Wimbledon. The line judges at the back of the court were absolutely a part of that.
Pauline, thank you. That's Pauline Ayer, who's now a comedian, but used to be a line judge at Wimbledon. And just to say, of course, that we are following all the latest sports news as well from Wimbledon. So you can always go to the BBC News Sports website, where we have all the very latest. And of course, that news, as we're hearing from Tim Henman, that there are now 23 Britons who are taking part in singles competitions at Wimbledon this year. So we'll bring you all the very latest on the BBC website there as well.